Hello and welcome to my thoughts on The Root of the Problem. If you haven't read this comic series yet, you can click here and listen to my reading of it. Overall, it was okay. It was not the most compelling story, but it was pretty fun throughout most of it. It did drag on in some parts. Cough, cough, sitting with the deer for 10 hours listening to exposition. Just in general, from the point where we got the mission from Celestia to find the heart of the forest, it just took way too long to get through the Everfree Forest and to get to the Deer City and to find out the problem. And then, oh no, the problem was fabricated by the Deer King himself, because he's an asshole, I guess. Kind of weird decision for him to just invade Equestria just because he didn't get a reply back. Probably could have tried meeting in person. But that's not the point. The point is, we just got to the end of the first comic, and we've been assigned a brand new problem, and the original problem no longer matters. Probably could have written that better, but honestly, I like this new problem a lot more. And well-to-do is, I just had a good time whenever he was in panel, which was a good contrast to hanging out with Aspen, who was real boring. Just Bramble and Blackthorn and Aspen. They just kind of sat around and exuded exposition because I guess they didn't know how else to tell the story. Speaking of exuding exposition, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Applejack were just kind of there. Definitely think they could use their characteristics a little better. They just made dumb quips. Probably would have been better to just leave them at home and then give Twilight, Rainbow, and Fluttershy more roles. Like, those three were the only ones who did any relevant actions in this story, which I feel bad for Rarity because I don't think the writer liked her. Just a very one-sided, extreme form of her personality. Oof. At least with Applejack and Pinkie Pie, it at least felt like it was them. Most of my problems are with Part 1's pacing in general. Part 2 was pretty solid throughout. Part 1 just doesn't really stand up on its own. It's almost exclusively backstory on the deer, and it just makes it drag. Speaking of dragging, just to contrast what I said, the peaceful protest in Part 2, oof, just filler. I'm pretty sure it could have just been completely excluded and nothing would have been lost. Like, why write something in if it doesn't contribute anything? It was just a dumb goof. But other than that, Part 2 had pretty good pacing, not too much pure exposition, a lot of action happening. It just had a lot more show, don't tell style of writing. The ending is pretty interesting. And I mean the climax of the conflict, rushing into battle with a bunch of wild animals to destroy the construction site. I would complain that the conflict at the end was a little anticlimactic, but they made that sweet joke about it being boring, which, I mean, I liked it. If Twilight or Fluttershy hadn't been present, it would be okay. Just, it doesn't really feel like Twilight style to fight like that. I mean, sure, magical duels against magical creatures, that makes sense. But this is just straight up a battlefield with civilians, and I doubt Fluttershy would have willingly let animals fight on their behalf. Also, it's pretty against their characters to sit by and let a goddamn Hydra massacre someone. I mean, that's what I got from it, at least. That may or may not actually have happened, but it's my canon now. Don't get me wrong, it was pretty cool that it happened. I just don't think Twilight or Fluttershy would have just sat by and let it happen. But I mean, yeah, the gist is, Part 1 was pretty slow, Part 2 was fun, half the characters didn't have a reason to be there, the deer were real boring, but well-to-do at least helped make up for that. This has been my unorganized and freeform thoughts on the root of the problem. Let me know what you guys thought about it. I think I'm gonna start doing these from now on, and the format may or may not improve, I don't know yet. And until next time. Okay, until next time. That's better.